evening. Welcome to Light TV Main News. Quote of the day: do justice, love, mercy, walk humbly with God. Micah 6, verse 8. The headlines: President Hichilema launches National School Feeding Program in Lusaka. Lundazi stakeholders propose 2 new constituencies. NOTEC dismisses protest claims. United Nations chief warns human rights under global attack. To read the news in detail, my name is Natasha Mlenga. President Hakainde Hichilema has officially initiated the school feeding program at Kablonga Boys Secondary School in Lusaka. The head of state interacted with learners during the ceremony and pledged support towards the initiative. He is expected to donate plates to supplement the program and improve service delivery for pupils. President Hichilema says by the end of this year, nearly 48,000 people will have been recruited under his administration. The school feeding program is aimed at enhancing learners' welfare and improving school attendance. The 4th session of the Tanzania-Zambia Joint Permanent Commission on Defense and Security opened in Arusha today. Zambia's Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security Permanent Secretary, Mr. Dickson Matembo, says the meeting provides an important platform for the 2 neighboring countries to strengthen relations and discuss key security and defense matters. He highlighted ongoing joint economic projects including the Tanzania-Zambia Railways Authority (TAZARA), Tanzania-Zambia Mafuta (TAZAMA) pipelines, and the Tanzania-Zambia Power Interconnector, which supports cross-border trade and regional integration. Tanzania's Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Home Affairs, Mr. Ali Gugu, said his country is committed to working closely with Zambia across all areas of cooperation. The Zambian delegation includes Zambia Air Force Commander Lieutenant General Oscar Nyoni, Inspector General of Police Mr. Grafel Musamba, Zambia Correctional Service Commissioner General Mr. Frederick Chilunkutu, Drug Enforcement Commission Director General Mr. Nason Banda, and Ministry of Defense Director for Research, Planning and Projects Mrs. Eileen Musonda Habasimbi. The session will culminate on Thursday with a ministerial meeting attended by the Ministries of Defense and Home Affairs from both countries.
The Center for Trade Policy and Development commends the government's proactive decision through the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock to restrict the importation of livestock and livestock products from South Africa following the outbreak of foot-and-mouth disease in that country. The measure, implemented through the Department of Veterinary Services, aims to prevent the spread of the highly contagious disease into Zambia. FMD poses significant risks to Zambia's livestock subsector, particularly for smallholder farmers whose livelihoods depend on cattle, goats, and other cloven-hoofed livestock. This is especially critical at a time when climate variability and cash flow constraints are already putting pressure on smaller incomes.
Stakeholders in Lundazi district have proposed the creation of Lundazi East and Lundazi West constituencies during a district delimitation sitting conducted by the Electoral Commission of Zambia at the Lundazi Boarding Secondary School Hall. The exercise forms part of a nationwide process across all 116 districts in line with the Constitution of Zambia Amendment Act No. 13 of 2025. The reforms increased constituency-based seats in the National Assembly from 156 to 226, requiring the creation of 70 new constituencies. Under the proposal, Lundazi West would comprise Nyamanzi, Mpamba, Vu and Mvuzi wards, while Lundazi East would include Donda, Chilamalilo, Timamila, Lunevwa, Chilola and Nkomba wards. District Electoral Officer John A.K. Mwanza reaffirmed the Commission's commitment to inclusive participation as submissions are now expected to consolidate at provincial level for further review. The Lusaka High Court has heard that over 2.9 million kwacha was paid by the Independent Broadcasting Authority to Validalian Dynamics, a company owned by Samuel Dokowe, one of the accused in the murder of former IBA Director General Gutila Mleya. Testifying before the court, Zanaco Service Coordinator Kamwenje Kayanga said the payments were made between June 3rd and July 25th, 2024, and were discussed as statutory payments to the Zambia Revenue Authority. She further told the court that on July 23, 2024, the day Mr. Mleya was allegedly murdered, more than 370,000 kwacha was withdrawn from Dokowe's account. The account had earlier been reactivated on January 6, 2020 after being dormant. In this matter, Dokowe, 2 police officers and an IBA accountant are accused of murdering Mr. Mleya. The trial resumes on February 24th, 2026. We take a set of commercials. I will be right back with more news. Stay tuned.
Admission is now open. Are you looking for a nurturing environment that fosters academic excellence, creativity, and personal growth for your children? Look no further than Christ Life School. Our dedicated team of educators and staff are committed to providing a world-class education that prepares students for success in an ever-changing world. With a focus on holistic development, we offer a range of programs and activities that cater to the unique needs and interests of each student. Why choose Christ Life School? We have experienced and passionate teachers, state-of-the-art facilities and resources, personalized attention and support, opportunities of extracurricular activities and talent development, strong emphasis on values and character development. So there you go. Admission is now open for 2026. Enroll today. Contact +260 976 840 108 or +260 968 594 434 or send an email on christlifeschoolzm@gmail.com.
Yo.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We continue with the news. Northern Tekenko College principal, Mr. Martin Kasonso, has dismissed social media reports alleging that students protested over unpaid lunch allowances after attending an engagement meeting with President Hakainde Hichilema in Kitwe. Mr. Kasonso says all students who traveled to support the head of state were paid their lunch allowances by the institution. He explained that while a few students allegedly misbehaved after receiving false information about the payments, there was no major disturbance at the college as suggested online. Mr. Kasonso further stated that NOTEC students will continue to support the president, noting that many are in college through government bursaries and the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. Videos circulating on social media show some students burning materials in the college car park while reportedly waiting to receive their allowances. The Global Fund has commended Zambia's progress in health and outlined priorities for upcoming funding. Senior Manager Betha Simwaka met Acting Health Minister Cornelius Mwetwa in Lusaka to review ongoing programs and discuss strategies for long-term impact. Mr. Mwetwa reaffirmed the government's commitment to accountability, highlighting a recent forensic audit that uncovered irregularities in health resources management. Ms. Simwaka praised Zambia's execution of COVID-19 response projects and said discussions are underway for the next funding cycle. The Global Fund currently supports programs in Zambia valued at about $360 million, covering HIV, malaria, tuberculosis, and other critical health interventions. Both parties expressed optimism about strengthening healthcare service across the country. The Center for Trade Policy and Development has backed government's decision to suspend livestock and related product imports from South Africa following an outbreak of foot and mouth disease. In a statement issued February 23, 2026, CTPD commended the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock through the Department of Veterinary Services for what it described as swift action to prevent the highly contagious disease from spreading into Zambia. CTPD researcher Mukuka Chiladika says FMD poses a serious threat to smallholder farmers who depend on cattle, goats, and other cloven-hoofed animals, especially amid climate variability and limited cash flow. While acknowledging possible short-term supply adjustments, the organization says the temporary ban presents an opportunity to strengthen domestic production and has called for sustained investment in disease surveillance and veterinary services.
Center for Trade Policy and Development commends the government's proactive decision through the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock to restrict the importation of livestock and livestock products from South Africa following the outbreak of foot and mouth disease in that country. The measure, implemented through the Department of Veterinary Services, aims to prevent the spread of the highly contagious disease into Zambia. FMD poses significant risks to Zambia's livestock subsector, particularly for smallholder farmers whose livelihoods depend on cattle, goats, and other cloven-hoofed livestock. This is especially critical at a time when climate variability and cash flow constraints are already putting pressure on smallholder incomes. By restricting livestock imports from South Africa, the government has taken a precautionary step to protect livestock herds, safeguard smallholder livelihoods, and maintain national food security. However, this development also underscores the importance of sustained public investment in livestock disease surveillance and early warning systems. Effective livestock disease prevention requires not only emergency response measures, but also predictable financing and institutional coordination across border control, veterinary services, and local authorities. While the temporary import restrictions could lead to short-term supply adjustments, they offer an opportunity to strengthen domestic livestock production and reduce reliance on imports. CTPT therefore urges the government to complement current measures with targeted support to livestock farmers, including enhanced extension and veterinary services, particularly for resource-constrained smallholders. For Zambia to build a self-sufficient and resilient livestock subsector, strategic public investment, institutional capacity, and proactive risk management will be essential to prevent disease outbreaks, whether regional or domestic, from undermining smallholder livelihoods and national food security, including enhanced extension and veterinary services, particularly for resource.
Kamfisa Member of Parliament, Mr. Christopher Kangombe, has donated blood at the Zambian National Blood Transfusion Service in response to calls to strengthen the country's blood supply. Mr. Kangombe was joined by Bahati Member of Parliament, Mr. Levan Chiwombwe, in the exercise aimed at encouraging more citizens to become voluntarily donors. The lawmakers say blood donation remains critical in saving the lives of mothers during childbirth, accident victims, and patients undergoing surgery and cancer treatment. The Ministry of Health Zambia has urged all eligible members of the public to visit designated centers and donate blood, describing the gesture as a simple but life-saving act.
Qué bueno. It's good that you've come to the promise, yeah. But we should just encourage everyone, especially
because you see, children will be busy complaining that there is a shortage of blood.
Yeah.
When we are the ones who are supposed to make the blood available.
Yeah.
Yes. So instead of me asking questions in Parliament, which I did, I raised the matter when I picked it up from one of the media outlets. I was guided, I think, by colleagues that no, actually, you go and contribute the blood so that the same quantity you want to be available is actually available. I don't think there's anyone who manufactures blood. Yes.
But that's to be from citizens, eh?
So to just encourage people, if you know that you can contribute to the reducing the problem, please come through to the center. They'll come and explain to you what is needed. Yeah. So I'm excited to be here actually.
Yeah.
Yes, very excited.
You've done well.
We take another set of commercials. Join me on the other side with sports and international news.
This is Breaking Free.
I have to say, mental health was not my first choice.
Okay.
So this is my second career. I was very fortunate when I came out of school. I went into a career in marketing, advertising and sales.
Because I was a pastor and a businessman. So every time when I go for business dinners with my clients, some of them would say, no, just drink a little bit of wine.
Yeah. So again, if we are focused on areas that are negative, we are focused on our anxieties, it's going to perpetuate negativity. Remember that you have worth, you are worth it, and you are loved.
If you are a prostitute and you condemn yourself, you beat yourself down, go to church anyway. If you're a criminal, you're a robber, and you think what you're doing is not right, go to church anyway. If at any time you drink, you smoke, and you condemn yourself for that, go to church anyway, because church was meant for you and I, because we are both sinners. On Breaking Free, we hope that one day Zambia shall be sober.
So won't you break free, won't you break free?
Welcome Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We continue with sports and international news. In sports news, the Zambia senior women's national team, the Copper Queens, trained at the Northern Academy football and rugby pitch in the Polokwane this morning as preparations ramp up ahead of their crucial Group B clash. The squad moved from Kulo High School to Northern Academy for a change of surface following a goalless draw against neighbors Zimbabwe at Seshego Stadium. Assistant coach Charles Alubono, alongside Ena Lapiri and Wisdom Kaila, led a high-intensity session focusing on movement, combinations, and finishing. Zambia face Eswatini tomorrow, February 24th at 12 hours in their final Group B match of the Hollywood Bates COSAFA Women's Championship 2025. Faz Media captured the training, sharing the key moments with fans. In international news, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has warned that human rights are under attack across the globe. He told the Human Rights Council in Geneva that the rule of law is being outmuscled by the rule of force. Guterres highlighted violations in conflict zones including Sudan, Gaza, and Ukraine, saying civilians continue to suffer as powerful actors disregarded international laws. He stressed that rolling back human rights threatens peace, development, and social stability, calling on governments and the international community to uphold justice. In his final address to the Council before leaving office later this year, Guterres said, "When human rights fall, everything else tumbles." That note brings us to the end of the main news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines. President Hichilema launches National Feeding Program in Lusaka. Lundazi stakeholders propose 2 new constituencies. NOTEC dismisses protest claims. United Nations chief warns